And we are back with another episode of the Can of Corn Podcast. Can of Corn Podcast, the only prep baseball Iowa podcast out of Iowa. I'm Parker Hageman. With me, as always, from an undisclosed location, Rob Allison. Rob, how are you?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, we're at the midsummer point, which means Minnesota and Nebraska have already been through the hardest parts, but Iowa is about to kind of hit the peak season. How are you feeling about everything?
Good. We're right in the mix playoff wise, and it's been a lot of good games. Had a few kind of crazy upsets with a couple programs getting knocked off, but yeah, it's been a good tail end of the summer.
Well, the good news is that you actually have more help coming your way in Iowa, right? So let's go ahead. And we talked about him at one of the last podcasts, but go ahead and let's give an official welcome and introduction to Tyler.
Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Are you?
I thought you were going to read out a full long resume, Rob, like a whole, like give him the full Theo Vaughn introduction background thing.
Yeah, of course. To introduce everybody to Tyler. I mean, I've known Tyler for, I don't know, what year did you graduate high school?
14.
I've known Tyler since 2000 and the fall of 2013, actually. They had the honor and privilege. I got to recruit Tyler out of high school, with him ultimately committing to Iowa Western. The boats kind of passed each other in the sea. He was on his way in as a freshman. I was on my way out to begin the endeavor with prep baseball. But we stayed in contact a lot through the years and have continued to run into each other, and through his great playing career, and then ultimately being back in the state of Iowa. I'm really excited about him joining forces with me and us doing everything we can prep baseball Iowa-wise, and so it's exciting times.
Tyler, you've been obviously on the road a little bit, been out in the ballparks. We've seen, if anybody's following our Twitter account, you've been out there getting highlights and some action. How's the first few weeks been? Is there any standouts that you've seen or anything that, caught your attention?
Yeah, it's been good. I think going out and watching some of these kids, because obviously I haven't known them for the last few years like Rob has, but getting to know them and looking at the rosters and whatnot, trying to figure out who's who. Went and saw the Kennedy Wash game the other day, their first sub-state game, and Tyne Donald started on the mound for him, had a little rough outing, but settled it down, and that their offense picked them up, and they ended up winning by one. So it was really good to see, getting to know a lot of the Cedar Rapids schools in this area, be able to get back home to Sioux City soon. So it'd be good to get over there and see those teams over there as well.
Yeah, you're based out on the eastern side, correct?
Yep, I'm in Cedar Rapids right now.
Yeah, because you spent not only at Iowa Western, but you were GAing at Iowa this past season, correct?
Yep, so I finished my degree in the fall. When I got drafted, I left and went and did that, and then said had to go back and get that done. Mama was making me get that done, which is fine. So I ended up helping them through the spring, and then hopped on board with prep baseball.
What was it like going back to school like that?
I made sure to shave before every class, so I looked a little bit younger than I really was walking in. But no, it was good. It wasn't too bad. Most of the stuff that I was learning was all the same stuff, that basically life experience stuff that I kind of learned in pro ball. So it made a lot more sense going back to school to finish up that degree.
Well, I'm glad you're aboard it. Yeah, again, like we said, like this is the peak season of Iowa circuit at prep baseball, of course, with the high school season wrapping up into the state tournament. And then we go to the future games. State games is right behind it. And then a bunch of IDs, and we'll talk more about that and dive into that here later. But for now, since we're one day removed from the MLB draft's first 3 rounds, I thought we'd touch base on, 3 local players that were called. And Rob, you could also add to, the regional side of it, because Marcus Phillips from South Dakota was also the highest pick out of everybody. But, starting right away, Cade Obermuller and Tyler, you could speak to him as well as being on staff, but out of City High at Iowa, he goes, 63rd, left-handed pitcher. Bob, what are your thoughts on that one?
Obviously really excited for Cade. Just for me, and when I've seen him left-handed, the arm's just electric. The stuff is at the highest level. If there was ever a red flag on Cade, sometimes he would spray it around. Lack a little command and control around the plate. He was never chucking it 20 feet up the backstop, but I think at times Cade probably pitches to his personality. And I mean, he's always been an awesome kid, awesome family, been around him a lot. But some of those early showcases when he was 14, 15 years old, I think I legitimately told him one time I was about ready to put a leash on him. just to keep him corralled and not bouncing all over the place. But great kid, great family. Obviously got drafted that high for a reason, and I think the ceiling is pretty huge.
Tyler, what are your thoughts on Cade?
Yeah, I would agree. The ceiling's huge for him. Great kid to be around. Likes talking baseball. Likes trying to learn. I was trying to pick my brain on little things here and there in the dugout between his starts, which was really good to see from him. And then he really took to Coach Kenny down there, the new pitching coach, too, to pick his brain, knowing that he's been around for a while and had been around a lot of programs and a lot of different guys. And so he was trying to get as much information as he could before he was gone away from him.
Tyler, as a guy who, in the pros, a catcher, when you looked at him, like how far away do you think he is at this point as a major league arm sort of thing? Is it going to be a long journey? Is it, hey man, he's pretty polished. He's, obviously the game, it's a tough game. You're going to learn something along the way, but where do you see him at?
Yeah, I think he's right up there. You could throw him in the mix and he would survive, whether that be a couple games in or if it's right away. You never know, because there is some spray in there, like Rob was saying, but you can't teach experience, and that's all you have to do is throw him in the game and let him figure out that experience. And once you get that experience, it doesn't go away, but you can't teach it. And they have to be put in situations that they may not feel comfortable in. And the only way to get comfortable is to be uncomfortable and get in there.
Rob, going back to his early events, obviously you said you had a little spray and a little squirrely at the same time, but like, is there something that you remember from him being like, yeah, this kid stands out, arm action, whippiness, athleticism, something that jumped out to you?
Yeah, I mean, the arm is super loose and whippy. It's always been low 3/4 with a ton of run on it. And I just thought he had that little bit of crazy to him. Like I think he's willing and wanting to run through brick walls and is super competitive. And I think anyone that's going to compete in professional baseball and have a chance to make their way up the ladder, they do have to have a little bit of squirrely in them. They have to have a little bit of crazy, because it's a hard knock life. And if you don't have some of those traits, it gets really, really hard to succeed and stay in the game.
I mean, lefties, they're just crazy as is, but yeah, that's pretty cool though. And then of course, Taitn Gray was, we've seen him in the ecosystem for the last few years, pretty close to home. Spring league action the last few years. He's monster power, had the whole, arsenal of scouts followed him all spring and probably in the summer as well. But he gets picked by the Tampa Bay Rays at the 86th pick in the third round. I don't know if there's anything more to say about him, Rob, other than monster masher and everything. But give us your thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think if he goes that high in the round, I think he's signable, and that's going to be something that's going to come to fruition. I know Oregon is going to adamantly probably try to battle that and still accrue his services out there. So we'll kind of find out what happens here in the near future. But I think Taitn is kind of geared for pro baseball. I think one thing you talk about when you're looking at these high school guys, you're obviously talking about them because they have a certain level of talent that warrants those conversations. But usually the biggest question is, can we send this guy, right? Is this guy wired, work ethic wise, whatever it may be? Can we send him out right now into pro ball, and are we putting him in a position to succeed? And that could be mentally, it could be emotionally, it could be physically. And, I think he's geared towards that. I think he's a man child physically. He loves to train. He loves to work on his craft, develop, continue to get better. I think if he does sign, it's direly important. Obviously, they get him into the farm system. They get him with some of the roving instructors and, higher end guys to start to tweak and manipulate and polish various things. But I just think day after day grinder, someone that can handle professional baseball. I think Taitn has those qualities.
Yeah, and it's crazy because he's one of the youngest to be drafted too, still 17, I think, at this point. And, he's got, even though he's a huge kid, a huge frame, like there's probably, like you're saying, the work ethic there to add or just to polish off everything. I mean, he'll probably end up at the complex league or doing something like that, or just working back at spring training. But like, he seems like that kind of a workhorse of a guy that's going to put his head down and go. I mean, questions on whether, where he plays in defense are probably still up there. But like, I think from a hitting side, what we saw at Super 60s, what we saw at future games, he can compete right now. He can compete with the best.
Yeah, and I think that's become a huge priority with MLB teams. Like, you have an athletic kid that much less swings it from both sides of the plate, but is already showing plus raw power. That's kind of the big chase right now. Everyone wants plus raw power. He's proven that he can supply that, so that's what the bet is. The bet is on the bat. If he swings it enough and swings it enough at a high level, they'll figure out where they're going to put him in the field. But he should have a chance to kind of keep moving up in a organization, and hopefully at some point become a big leaguer.
Tyler, I want your viewpoint on this in a second here, but we're gonna discuss one last Iowa player drafted, Sean Gamble, IMG Academy in Florida, correct? But he's an Iowa native, and you saw him early on, correct?
Yeah, born and bred West Des Moines kid. Obviously made the jump to start his freshman year and attended high school at IMG down in Florida. I remember when people first started talking about him in 8th grade, and my first impression before I saw him is like, 8th grader, who knows? He's probably a USSSA man child. Looks like he hit puberty when he was 4. Really, and what really impressed me was the first time I got to see Sean, like, you could tell Sean was athletic. You could tell he was long and just had a good frame, but he didn't stand out amongst most 8th graders physically. But you watched him play. I mean, he would play 2-3 years up in tournaments and stuff like that and still perform at a really, really high level. And so that's kind of what got me excited about him. Was the ability was really high. His game performance was really high, but he wasn't maxed out physically. And so there's a lot of projection there as well. And obviously he went down to IMG. He's had a great 4 years. Has absolutely got after it and well-deserving getting drafted where he got drafted.
Now, the narrative around him that they talked about MLB Network was that his brother went down to IMG to do tennis, correct? And that the camp director, who, he was in some IMG camp, said, "You're pretty good. You should think about staying around here." Is that older brother Bo? Is that correct? Was he a tennis guy, and that's how we kind of got into the IMG system?
No, I think that's a bogus. I think that's fake news.
It's a fun story that way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's fake news, but I could be wrong.
No, it sounds better. And yeah, like brother just went down to play tennis, and look at younger brother swinging the bat there. Yeah, I get that. But
it sounds like they're planning. It sounds like they're seed for the next Disney movie. I don't know, like feel good story. The Blind Side. Is this going to be the version of The Blind Side?
Yeah, we'll just manipulate it enough so it seems like a great heart wrenching story. But yeah, behind the scenes, they're manipulating the whole narrative, right?
Yeah.
2018, Tyler. Do you remember what you were doing draft day in 2018?
Yep, sure do. We got done playing, and I was over here in Iowa City. I'm like, I'm gonna go home, spend the day with my family at their house. Obviously, first day, nothing. I figured I was gonna be a senior sign guy, 4 through 10 on that second day is what they were saying, and kind of sitting there waiting around. I just got a black lab at the time, so we were out in the yard playing, and phone rings because I didn't want to sit at the TV for 6 hours and just watch and wait. So we're out playing around and get a phone call from the Cardinals actually. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to take you right here." I think they were a few spots ahead of the Nationals. And then sure enough, they picked somebody else. And the scout I'm on the phone with is like, "Wait a minute, they told me the wrong guy." And whatever, it all goes down some really, really high and then drop really low because it's not happening. And then a couple picks later, the Nationals called and got my name called. And yeah, I remember sitting in their living room watching the TV when it happened. It was a pretty cool moment to spend with my mom and my dad.
So it's a little bit of stress then, what you're saying throughout that when you get a call from somebody that tells you, "Hey, we got you." And
yeah, it was a little stressful, but it all worked out in the end. So and my dad, he was really excited because he was a Cardinals fan, so he was really hoping that one was going to go through.
How much communication did you have or knowledge of where you're going throughout obviously we're saying, yeah, you got a call or two there, but you had an advisor that's giving you this, or were you well prepared going into draft day for what might happen?
So there's a couple of advisors that reached out to me, but being that I was a senior sign, I wasn't going to get a whole lot of money. So it wasn't advantageous for me to get on an agent and have him take whatever his percentage is going to be. And so I just kind of did it myself and answered phone calls, filled out the questionnaires online, and kind of was just waiting for a scout to call me and wait for that phone call that you're going to get taken, and really had no negotiating power because I couldn't go back to school and say, "Hey, I need this." So I kind of took whatever they gave me and started my career and ended up where I wanted to be at the end of it. So all at the beginning in 2018.
Obviously, Cade and Taitn are going to have different experiences, but from what you went through, what's going to happen next with them? I mean, what's the process? What do you recall happening after the draft and then getting into pro ball? What's that like?
Yeah, so like get there and you're around all those guys that had just gotten drafted. You're all new, and you really got to find somebody that you go everywhere with. Whether that be another pitcher or for Taitn, another position player, you just go with them and you kind of have a little buddy system, so that way you don't miss workouts or sit different meetings. So trying to figure out who to hang around with and who's going to be that guy that you can kind of be with all the time. That's going to be the biggest thing, and then it's going to be very eye-opening because you're going to be there with the best of the best, and you're not the number one dog anymore. You're going to get in there with the best of them, and you're going to have to perform day in and day out.
How much hand holding, how much coaching instruction is there right away? I mean, is it kind of like somebody's on you constantly, or you're on your own, you're going to figure it out. We're going to tell you what to do, but you're an adult now, go figure it out.
No, at the beginning, there's some hand holding going on, especially for those younger guys leaving home for the first time. A lot of them don't have the college experience, so that'd be a lot different for Cade to Taitn for sure. But it'll be eye opening, and there'll be some hand holding even for Cade, and they're going to expect him to go out there and do what he'd been doing for Iowa the last couple of years. And then Taitn, just that raw power that's going to show up, and then figure out where he can play, because you can't keep a guy that's hitting out of the lineup. You got to find a spot for him somewhere.
Going back to your experience, do you have a memory of like a welcome to pro ball, like, getting off the bus and this is different, or you ran into, a certain coach or something like that? Like, man, this is going to be a different vibe than college, than college ball.
Yeah, I think it was like going into that first fall. I stayed down there in the Florida League and ended up going up to Auburn, New York. And anybody that's been to Auburn, New York, know there's not a whole lot in there besides the town and the field. And then, but that was eye-opening because of the going from the college fields, and then you're playing at these small or short season A-ball fields with 50 people every night, and you're trying to get amped up to play a game. That's one of the hard things to do, but at the end of the day, it's the same game. It's just at a different level. And then going in, there's going to be every level, it's going to get harder and harder. And then the ones who end up making it and staying up there are the ones that figure it out.
All right, here's a weird question for you, but what do you think, or what do you wish you knew as a college guy going into pro ball or getting into pro? What did you wish you knew or did differently to prepare you to get into that grind?
Yeah, one of the things is like the pressure that comes with it, I guess, especially for high draft pick guys like Taitn and Cade are going to be. They're going to feel it from the outside all the time, and there's going to be articles and stuff. But you got to focus on what you're doing day in and day out and get 1% better every day, whatever that 1% is, whether it's in the weight room, on the field. And then one thing that was told to me that really eased my mind towards the end of my career was all baseball players really are entertainers. Some people are paying to watch you go do something that they want to see something cool happen. And that's really the easiest way to think about it. And you take all the pressure off yourself.
Kind of like that little banana ball type. You're entertainers. Mm-hmm. Hang on, I'm gonna take a quick time out. Rob, you seem frozen. Right?
We were in Wichita, and one of our outfielders, Brewer Hicklin, ended up making it to the big leagues with Kansas City. There's a play in the outfield. There's a little party deck in right, and he goes up to rob a home run and drops it. And the guy's standing there and started chirping back at him, and Brewer's going back and forth. Well, ended up saying, Brewer goes, "You pay to watch me play." And so then the guy next time we came to town made him a T-shirt with that on there with his outline on it. So it's really cool, those minor league stadiums and stuff, and how close the fans can get, and you can interact with them. But that's a pretty cool shirt that I remember.
That's fun. I like that. Obviously, Taitn was came up through our ecosystem in the future games 2024. It starts next week. We got it Sunday, Monday. We're going. We're riding. Rob, give everyone a reminder of what the future game means to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, pound for pound, it's the biggest event in our ecosystem. It starts out with junior future games for 8th graders coming down the pipe. But then you jump to sophomores. So this year eligibility is 2027s for the future games. Everyone in the prep baseball ecosystem, either from a state or a regional perspective, puts together what they consider the best group of 20-odd sophomores in their state. And it's built itself into a beast. 10, 15 years ago, I think it's 15 years ago is the first time they did it. It went from like 3-4 teams just doing it regionally in Chicago at a D3 field to moving to Grand Park, multiple teams, multiple fields. Now us packing Lake Point, our complex outside of Atlanta, for an entire week. It just becomes the who's who of sophomores from across the country. And I think the event has even amplified or gotten that much bigger now with the recruiting rule changes and guys not being able to come off the board as 8th, ninth graders. So we did start to see that a little bit. Not that the talent got watered down, but the best of the best were already committed. And that is the golden rule of the event. You need to be uncommitted and open to be there. And just it's created that one-stop shopping for Division One schools. I mean, there'll be over 300 Division One coaches packed into that complex next week, being able to see what these guys can do from all over the country. And it's just become that it's the biggest carrot at the end of the process, at least at this point, for these high school kids. And we'll take a competitive team down there. It's going to be a combination of Iowa and Nebraska kids. I know they're going to do well for themselves, but we're going to throw them over the side of the boat. They're going to sink or swim. But it's not too often that you get the opportunity to showcase and play and do what you do in front of that many schools at one time. So I'm excited about it. I hope the guys on our team take advantage of it. I know we have a lot of guys with a lot of ability, and then we just kind of go from there.
You pack your Gold Bond already?
I'm leaving an extra pair of shoes at home to allow me to pack the amount of Gold Bond that I'm going to pack.
It's warm, and then it gets wet, and then it gets even warmer after it rains. It's quite an environment down there.
Yeah, see, this will be Tyler's first future games, and so my recommendation, Tyler, is you find your most comfortable pair of shoes, but the ones that are kind of at the 11th hour and you're thinking about replacing them anyway, and then just wear them the entire week, because the rain, the sweat, being in the middle of the concrete jungle of that complex, at the end of the week, you are going to chuck those shoes in a garbage can, because there's no way you're going to be able to get the stench out of them. They
Perfect.
will be.
I got a pair in mind already.
You could transition them to your like dad lawn shoes or something like that, but yeah, after that you're not using them in public. The other end too, and you kind of briefly mentioned it, but the senior future game is one that was tacked on last year, obviously same thing with the recruiting rules. Like it's become a real important part for these guys that normally a couple years ago would have been committed right after the future games. It's just the way it is right now. So I think and from what we saw last year, at least for the team Upper Midwest, which is now Team Plains this year, I guess is where the Plains, that you got guys that a lot of the mid majors in the region are coming to watch, and I think that is a perfect roster, perfect opportunity for them to be seen within the D1 circuit with all the programs there. So I think that's a good event that was added.
Yeah, and I do think the Senior Future Games is right in the wheelhouse of Upper Midwest kids. Even, before all the transfer portal and this, that, and the other, still like recruiting happens at a different time and in a different pace, really, for every single player. But now, like, because of Upper Midwest kids, there's guys that have made significant jumps. They're now getting ready to go into their senior year. They're significantly better than they were last year. They were kind of under the radar. Now they're starting to blip the radar, get them on the national scene, let people see them a little bit. I think it really lines up and puts guys in my region in a pretty advantageous position to get in front of people and get seen and show people what they can do.
No easier way to put it than that. That's good. So Tyler, how was your first podcast?
It's been good. Like
is it everything you dreamed of?
Yeah. Looking forward to the future games. Haven't been down there before. Haven't been part of anything like that. So be exciting to be down there for a full week.
It's fun. You actually get to see some celebrities every so often too. Like what was it last year? Jim Tomey was there. Jason Kidd.
Jim Tomey.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think Michael Kadire was part of the mix. Like it's a little bit of a who's who with these. And it makes me feel old too to know that they have kids that are now at that age, because growing up watching those guys play, it's like, oh, fun. That's awesome.
No, it is a big week, and like you said when we started, a lot of things going on in Iowa. Playoff run, state tournament coming up, future games, full slate of events coming down the pipe in August. And yeah, we're going to be running. It's going to be fun, and we'll see if we survive.
Yeah, what we'll end up doing here is probably recording a post future game podcast to wrap up everything we did, preview the state games, so everyone knows how that's going to happen here, and of course the super sophomore and super senior games that are going to happen at, is it Creekside or home field are we at for those? Both? We had both? Just home field.
Everything
All right. So we're in KC. Tyler, we're gonna crash with some of your buddies. I think. I don't know. I don't know if you still have keys to the clubhouse over at Kaufman, but we'll figure things out.
I'll have to make some phone calls and see what we can do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this is another episode of Candy Corn Podcast. Tyler, welcome aboard. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. Rob, it's always great to see you. Bye.
Thanks.